gracious ones, the tenderest ritual in all the universe is the ritual of the ascension. Then the minute fingers of living flame become the caress of God as he calls unto himself the chosen one who would rather run his course as unification with universal life than abide in individuality or separation from the central fires of God's heart. Many a candidate comes to us pleading for admission to our retreat and longing in the depth of the heart, of the soul, for a release from attachment, from bondage, from confusion, from fear. And I must say unto you tonight in native honesty that in many cases the ascension is sought as recoil from the terrors which the world has created and is not adored for its pristine purpose, for its harmony, for its fulfillment of immortal purpose and intent. Divest thyself of those thoughts of recoil that negatively drive thee into the arms of God, if thou wouldst have the ascension. And bear well, beloved keepers of the flame, in mind and heart, that the luster of the supreme purpose must be adored, and one must desire union with God more than union with self. And then truly, not only shall self not forever be cast away, but God shall not be cast away. And thou mayest well perform perforce his service to life, that ye become hands and feet of the Most High God, to go whither he goeth, and to extend that cup of life, that elixir, unto others. I know full well, precious ones, the great difficulty in surmounting the obstacle of the human monolith. Men speak of a monotheistic God. Let them recognize the monolith and Moloch of human greed. Let them recognize the shame that is within themselves and cut themselves free from it. Men speak great swelling words of vanity. I will do this, and do it not. Chastisement, self-chastisement is sometimes not enough to apply the spur, And it is required by the law that from on high those whom we love should be chastened by our wit to the end purpose that you see truth clearly in mind as a clean slate, as letters of fire written in the air. As the dream of God and not the dream of man. And while we are on the subject, let me draw you very close to me and tell you that of all human frights, the awesome astral dreams which mankind sometimes find themselves in are exceeded by nothing save the astral world itself. And often it is a tuning in with these outworn shells of horror, which men ought to shun as the plague. When you come to Luxor, it is not to bring your outworn garments. It is not to carry a knapsack upon your back filled with old, decaying duds. Leave them behind. We have discarded our own, and we came here ourselves empty-handed, and wove and builded out of eternal substance the sacred fire temple at Luxor. We do not need your contamination. We need your soul. Pure. Chaste. We do not need somnambulists. We are awake in God. We would rather hear one word from the Most High than the most beautiful story which man can weave and bind by spell of human sense consciousness. We wait through the centuries to find the cream that rises to the top. And then we pick and choose the best of men. Spartans we are. But we would not plant a Trojan horse among you. Please do not plant one or seek to plant one among us. You may come to our outer focuses, such as this one. You may listen and learn. You may return home and do as you will. But I assure you, with a set to my teeth, that unless you pay greater heed to your divine presence than you have in the past, many of you shall find that your calling and election is wanting the body of substance which the law requires. And who shall you blame at that moment? It shall not be Serapis and his band. It shall not be those of us who stand stalwart for the cosmic purpose. You shall not blame us for this night. Not in the vein which Pilate did do we dip our hands in God's lave, but that you may see that clean hands are offered in valiant service to the light and to the might and to the altar of God within your own soul. Now you may say that you feel that you are small and weak, that you feel that you are puny, that you have little to give. I say to you tonight We judge by what you have. And if it be but a pittance, and it be your all, it is as great a gift as though it were the treasury of Croesus. God is not mocked, nor are his judgments unsound, and the great white brotherhood is not confused, precious ones, by mankind's variance and strange conduct, by their turn-about and about-face attitudes, whereby when it suits their purpose they pursue us with what they say is all their heart, and when their purpose is not suited, they turn away and retreat from the domain of the righteous. For righteousness is a hard thing to express, precious ones, among men who do not feel at all righteous, who often chide themselves for being unrighteous, and in this small sense of reality do spread abroad the infection and contagion of contamination to one another. They actually expect failure and reap it. We expect success and call it forth. We evoke it. We exalt it. We determine it. We are God's success. And we are God's success for you. We hold the jewel of the ascension in our hands and hearts. We hold the jewel of the ascension upon the scabbard from which we draw the great sword of Christly discrimination to cut you free from fear and pain, to cut you free from all that maims, to cut you free and let you be that which I am for eternity. Look well to yourself. It is the doorway to reality. And you know, precious ones, for a moment I would like to lift the veil, just for a moment, upon the ages past, as I hear the great hewers at work, and I see the drawers of water coming from afar, and the baking sand, with the heat waves rising up, and the bare backs of men, and the crack of the whips, and the building of the pyramids. I see the labor then that was evoked from stronger men than now grace the world, and yet they had not the wisdom of the world that ye have, nor the means to do service to life, nor the power of communication, or transportation, or understanding of beauty. Yet, midst pleasures and palaces, though you may roam, be you ever so humble, you are indeed far from home, when you roam from dear Luxor, the home of the true. I pray then tonight that with dear Luxor in view, you will think of the day when, free from all ill, you stand with the Father and with his great will, to know that God planned it, that you should one day feel the full power of ascension's own ray, raising you up from the sod here below, and opening your eyes to eternity's glow, suffusing the sky with the first ray of dawn. Let this light be your guide, both now and from now on. Ye are children of that dawn. Build your pyramid well. Each stone that you cut is a most binding spell. When its substance is impure, it needs transmutation's glow. the great furnace of wisdom that God would bestow is a white heat to the mind and a glow as a star. Its light comes with great majesty from both near and from far. I am the ascension, your God now commands. I am the ascension that life now demands. I am the ascension, the pathway that leads to the gate of perfection when you ride those four steeds, each body obedient, each body in love, with the purpose of heaven that gleams from above. The grail now descends, and the cup to your lips speaks a whisper of heaven. Dear Lord, now forgive. Let me sip of thy nectar and feel thy great love, the elixir of immortality, the offering of love. Gracious ones, Ascension's banner is over the devotee who is able to still the mind and heart and feeling world now and forever. You think when you lose your temper, precious ones, that it is a small thing. And you say, unfortunately, I lost my temper. Dear Lord, forgive. Think ye first, and then the act may be more beautiful. Think ye first ere ye think. Think ye first of what you would think. Blueprint the purposes of life for yourselves. Do not drift with the tide of degeneration. Do not drift with the tide of mortal strife and confusion. Be goal fitters, and you shall find your way in due course of time to our temple. We have openings now, for many have flown these halls to higher octaves. Within the past 24 hours, there has occurred 24 ascensions in the light from our halls. 24 ascended masters stand round about this place tonight, adding to the great fire of life. They were men and women who walked among you, and you knew them not. For none of these who ascended are known to any of those of you who are here, but they are as much your brothers and sisters as though every one of you had walked beside them every step of the way. And they are with you tonight in order to encourage you that it can be done, that it shall be done, that it is being done in this contemporary age. How we glow then with hope that some of you, that one of you, that all of you will hold with us, will hold with yourselves, will hold with the bond of reality and the eternal promise. Won't you please be seated? There comes a time, precious ones, when life must take a change for the better. You walk in expectation You yearn for greater release and freedom. You determine again and again, with almost the tension of a coiled spring, that you will find release. And again you break the covenant with yourselves. And you ask yourselves why. Have you thought, precious ones, of the need for freedom from self-condemnation and the use of that energy for the purposes of fulfillment? Do you know, in the great dossier, which I shall not, of course, release tonight, except perhaps a few words as I did in the little poem which I rendered to you, there are certain teachings made which are just simply magnificent. But unless these magnificent jewels are used by those who have reached a certain point, there is just no point in giving it to them. Therefore, we are waiting. But I do want you to know that there is a little glimpse to be afforded you of some of the teachings, so that you may go on to a greater measure of purity and illustriousness. Do you know what illustriousness is? It is the fulfilling of the illumined or illustrious purpose of God. You know, precious ones, monks did sit in cells and labor as a labor of love over the Holy Scriptures. The Word of God, the Word which God spake, and the words which the precious great ones, the scribes of old, did record in the Holy Scriptures, were themselves plain proof of great truth. Yet these monks were not satisfied with just the plain, simple Roman letter, for example. And they embellished these letters, often making them in what is known as illuminated writing, colored in gold and other bright and gay colors, and adorned with wondrous form and symmetry. This was a labor of love for a word that they felt deserved adornment. It was not with them a gilding of the lily, precious ones. It was simply honoring God, and they gave their life unto that. This is illumined manuscripts, far more beautiful than ordinary ones. Now then, precious ones, I am not about to suggest that you should enter a monkish cell or attempt to embellish our words by drawing and tracing in color the qualities of the sacred fire in form and symmetry. But I am about to tell you that our words can be adorned in a more tangible way by rereading them, by revitalizing them, by re-speaking them, by rephrasing them, and most emphatically, by reliving them as we have done. You see, precious ones, there is an old statement: there is nothing new under the sun. Well, you know, great and blessed ones of great light, for I salute you thus tonight, I want you to know that there are so many people in the world tonight that would come to the temples of the Great White Brotherhood in their own selfish, degenerative, unillumined state. And when they sat before the greatest masters and were taught the simple truths of their salvation and ascension, they would spurn them. For the way of salvation is far too simple, and the teaching is not as gay as men would have it. Therefore, the sameness, the childlike nature of the teaching, the great purity, seems to such men as though they have heard it before. And so they have, again and again. What is needed then is the vital realization of it in action in their world. The living Word incarnate must be engrafted into the hearts of men. They must illumine the manuscripts of themselves. For the Word did go forth, and in a sense ye can truly say of yourselves that ye stand as the living Word. But in this case ye are a plain Word, not yet embellished with that adornment which is sufficient to give you your freedom. For it is you who must read the record of your own selves. Do you know, precious ones, the great karmic board usually call upon the individual themselves to read their own record ere judgment is pronounced. And it is from the words that men read concerning their own record that they are judged. This the Christ plainly said. By your own words shalt thou be justified, and by thy own words shalt thou be condemned. And so it is. But the world does not know that. They think that the great ones stand in awesome, somber silence and thundering tones and denounce mankind. Precious ones, how can we denounce those whom God has loved? And God has loved all his creation, and the whole of creation is a story of infinite love. And he would confer the beauty of the ascension upon the whole universe if it were not for the misuse of free will. And thus men read their own record, and then, if there be fault to be found, it can only be fault found with themselves. And inasmuch as we teach them that self-condemnation is not a valuable way of conducting one's own thinking processes, we find that the students cannot, even after they have read it, practice too much self-condemnation. While they admit that they have made errors, they must also recognize that life is a renewed opportunity, and that again and again God has provided a way of escape for mankind from the snares which they have woven for themselves, and he will continue to do so. And furthermore, precious ones, actually, the calamities of life that sometimes befall men are often blessings in disguise. Yet, at the particular time that they occur, they seem quite frightening. Let men take heart, then, to recognize that life in the eyes of God is beautiful. And when men attain to the state where they can appreciate the beauty of this great beholder of perfection, their own beloved God's self, they will find life is indeed beautiful and comfortable. For they will see with his eyes, hear with his ears, know with his mind and heart, and be with his being. And this is quite simple to state in effect, but a little more difficult to establish in action. Why is it difficult to establish in action? Is it not because men have often paid a great deal more heed to the high-sounding phrase and to the voices of men than they have ever paid to the voice of God and to the sweetness of his whispers in their heart? Then I come tonight to say to you that in the great book of the Ascension, there is a record made concerning the whispers of God within the heart. And candidates for the Ascension are often taught to sit in the positive attitude of hearing the intimate voice of God speaking to them personally as to just what they must do to be saved and to receive their ascension. Many times, precious ones, men and women who are not a part of this movement, or of any religious movement for that matter, hear this voice, And they too sometimes in their great search will ask questions about the voice of God speaking within them. Such a one came to Jesus long ago and said, "Good Master, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Men and women are concerned with these things. It is not ye alone that are concerned. Upon the broad expanse of the planet, as it turns in space, countless hearts call unto God, and many call unto the unknown God. In ignorance, in agnosticism, in doubt. Precious ones, how fortunate then are you to have these opportunities to understand that you can listen to the whispers of the voice of God within the heart and learn not how to expand your ego, but how to expand your God flame. For as the God flame expands, so goes the pathway to the ascension. And as the ego expands, so goes the pathway to the descension. For the ego is that which descended, and the God flame is that which descended to give life to the person, but will ascend back to the heart of God because it is made of the same flame substance as God's being. See then, in the simplicity of my statements, that it is not in high-sounding phrases, but in basic understanding that you not only can gain the infinite wisdom of the universe and the mastery of the universe, but the mastery of yourselves. For if you cannot master yourselves, you shall not be able to master others or to master the universe. Be faithful then in a few things, and God has promised to make thee ruler over many things. There are great evolutions yet unborn that await the teachings of Christs, of dedicated souls. There is need for you to graduate and to arise up into the great power of your ascension. You then ought to recognize that Saint Germain, as the headmaster of this school, has elected to make you aware of the spiritual tools that you have, which you have neglected. If you had used them long ago, as you were directed, you would not be the fools that are now not perfected. Gracious ones, who has fooled who? None have fooled anyone save themselves. And the last laugh is always the laugh of heaven. For heaven laughs best when men are free. Heaven laughs best when men love. Heaven laughs best when men obey. And when men stray, heaven veils its face. There is no rejoicing on high in calumny and deceit and misinterpretation. There is only rejoicing on high when righteousness is in action. Your beloved Saint Germain, your knight commander, did cast down this sword in your midst in one of his recent dictations. He placed a challenge at the feet of every keeper of the flame. Some of you have risen momentously to defend the flame and to stand with the light. You shall not regret it, but I am certain that those who have not responded to his call will. Yet, the mercy of God seeks them out still. And I think, as I come forth tonight to speak to you, that I have somewhat also tempered my speech. For as I looked you over this night and saw the enormous effort that has gone forth this past year, I actually threw away some of the notes I had made, which I intended to use to be just a little bit more cutting. And I said to myself, Serapis, there is a time also when you can learn. Your ascension has somehow made you a bit fierce, for you are all for the will of God in man. But these souls have a great luster. Be good to them. And so your own beloved Saint Germain and Moria have smiled tonight because of this little incident. For they knew that I came with great fire and fury, determined to burn out of you all that dross of human creation that you have accumulated over the centuries. My determination is not any less. I simply desire to transfer it to you and let you do the job. You see, I could not do it single-handed anyway, for it requires some cooperation from you. You must remember that an ascended being is not greater than his Lord. And therefore, if God himself has found it necessary to wink at human ignorance and permit men to carry on in human ways for a time until they can awake, I think we must also, yet for a cosmic purpose. We have often beckoned in fierceness and spoken forthrightly to mankind in order that they might find a means to summon the spirit of life and the spirit of fulfillment, and not just carry on in a continual repetition and rehashing of old, decaying experiences which have never brought them true satisfaction or release from the fears and trepidations of the world. So then, as I draw my address to a close, I want to say to you that the fervor which I brought and the notes which I have cast aside are still there if you care to read them. I think perhaps it is best that you ask for them. And if you do, I am certain that a way will be found to communicate those thoughts to you so that you can be that discriminating intelligence yourself that cuts you free. Sometimes, precious ones, there is a need to pamper not the human, but the blessed soul itself that has truly served the light with all its heart and capacity at a given moment. And then again, one must withdraw the pampered attitude and say, now is the time to spank them. This we have done in the past. Tonight, we come with great love. We come with great love, for truly there is magnificence amongst you. I know that this is not a flattery that will get me nowhere, for I am well aware that you are taking my words humbly, that you might elect to live up to them, that you might elect to accept the purification the coming days shall bring. For America shall have many experiences within the next 6 months, which may be indeed some danger to the cause of freedom. Stand by your knight commander in those days, and remember that we hope the vision which we see can be averted. But we know that whether it is or whether it is not, the service and the flame you bear will always be its own reward. To serve God in that holy church tabernacle of identity, where the light from on high actually radiates forth in the Ark of the Covenant, is indeed to live in the consciousness of Melchizedek, to be a son of God without beginning and without ending, to have realization and strength in your right arm and heart that Almighty God is put there. This will wipe from your countenance the dust of the ages and give you that mighty fire, that transcendent light, that power, that elixir, that holiness of being that is the ascension as with a rushing of a mighty wind, you rise into the arms of God and the ascended host, one forevermore with the Son of eternal beingness. In the name of the brotherhood at Luxor and the sacred white fire body, to which you shall return, one and all, as the great divine urn stands before you, awaiting the adornment of your coming, as flowers called forth from the heavens, as flower fire stars in the firmament of the divine one. So I say, be inspired this night, be fired this night by our flame. For as I leave you, I shall sweep through this audience ascension's flame for a period of 20 seconds. All that you can absorb of that flame during those 20 seconds will be a great assistance to you if you will hold your attention upon God and recognize that that which I do in the Father's name. I thank you, I bless you, and I charge you with great light. In God's holy name, I am Serapis.
Cyclopea dear, how we love you. How we love to breathe that sacred name. Cyclopea dear, how we love you. And your holy love our heart inflames. In the beauty of the lily, in the fragrance of the sacred tone, in meditation sweet elixir, Cyclopea doth adorn. Mercy cometh now, lovely Queen. Violet flame forgiveness for each Violet flame forgiveness for each one. Holy waterfall, holy light, tumbling sacred fire, our soul's delight, showering of purity's fire, cool and comforting, our God desire. In the beauty of the lily, in the fragrance of the sacred tone, in meditation sweet elixir, Cyclopea doth adorn. Mercy cometh now,
thou effulgent manifestation of the brothers in white, I am come this night into your midst to bring forth the perfection, all-seeing, that knows what God has wrought and what the Almighty will do in all days to come. For my eyes behold the mind of God back in the stream of his wondrous consciousness. And I am come this night to communicate unto you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all nations, kindreds, and tongues, tidings of the golden age that God hath wrought within the heart of men, first as the tender appearing shoots of hope, the hope born of the desire for peace upon earth in the hearts of men, and for personal peace within their own thought and feeling world. I am Cyclopea, the all-seeing eye of God, a manifestation of the perfection of your own God presence, seeing past, present, and future. I am imbued with the wondrous knowledge of the divine intent come full circle as the majesty of nature and the majesty of the eternal procession of the saints out from the heart of God as the brotherhood in white, those who are accounted worthy to wear the clean linen of the elect of God, whose purposes are akin to the Father's own thought of manifestation. Now it is ever so true, precious ones, that mankind are often muddled and confused, that their spirit is often troubled by reason of mortal density in the thought and feeling world, whereby illusion has captured the heart and mind and created matrices of thought and feeling in the lower dimensions of man's being, which have no contact whatsoever with the immaculate realm of God perfection, which is protected by the guardian spirits from on high, those wondrous beings who come from the four corners of universal intent, from the great cosmic square and the right and left angles of perfection, both before and behind, which complete the manifestation of the divine intent, wherein within the great white cube there is manifest the God flame, that giveth life unto the whole of that which is within the square. Thus there is by the divine geometry created in the world of form a wondrous manifestation which is born to the earth by the angelic hands for the perfection of mankind and the protection of the divine idea. Now, because each one of you does have within you a mighty and wondrous threefold flame of perfection, which is charged with the full faith and wisdom and love of Almighty God, and because ye are also made in his image, imbued with his perfection and his strength, I have come this night fully equipped with the means whereby to endow you with the wonders of expansion, whereby through a consciously invoked intent you can also expand the dimension of your being into the great cosmic white cube, and thereby expand the wonderful God flame that is your real identity out from your heart into manifestation, whereby there is an expansion in the realm of being, and this expansion becomes a new dimension to your own personal self, wherein you wield the influences of Almighty God and are able to act as His emissaries in creating the condition known as hallowing space, whereby space itself, through you, becomes saturated with the energies of the God flame within, which telegraph to the realm of your own personal squared aura the full concentration of the light of God that never fails. Now, when one or more individuals imbued with this power come together in one place, there is an intense square action which does, in effect, create the condition referenced by your beloved Saint Germain and known as the squaring of the circle. For identity, precious ones, in the higher octaves, is symbolized by the figure, the geometrical figure of the circle, being without end and without beginning. In the world of form consciousness, the square does bring about the lineaments of perfection, and the reason why the cube is chosen is because there is balance in all sides of the cube, and thus within the God flame can radiate out the pattern of the New Jerusalem descending from God out of heaven to produce the perfection of God among mankind. Now mankind have often been confused by the radiation and ideas of John the Beloved, which he released in his visions upon the Isle of Patmos. But I am here to tell you tonight that the radiation of this room is now being stepped up by the vibratory action of your John the Beloved, who himself is charging his radiation into the force field of this room, together with that magnificent patron of the divine arts, Paolo Veronese, your own beloved Paul the Venetian. These two masters have joined me on my right and left, and are releasing the elements of their own radiation and appreciation of God's message to mankind, the quickening power of the two-edged sword of divine love, which cuts two ways into all dimensions to produce a freeing up for mankind of their own entangling situations, whereby they have in one way or another partaken of the poison cup of mankind's thought and feelings, and become thereby contaminated in part by the violations which mankind have created of cosmic law. And thus tonight there is an action going forth, precious ones, to penetrate through your finer bodies and create those wonderful concepts of purity which will enable you to contact the angelic realm and to feel the fiery perfection of the angels of God as they go forth into communion with one another and with the spirits of nature for the production and sustaining of the divine ideal upon the planetary body. Now it goes without saying that you must realize, if you have perception, precious ones, that there is an activity upon the planet of human creation that has resulted in a tremendous densification of the transmission of light to the blessed elemental beings of the world in their search for greater light. Then, because of the cutoff created by human density, the elementals have created vibratory actions in the strata of the rock, which have manifested as earthquakes in divers places, and which have created disturbances upon the planetary body. I do not expect that these conditions shall subside and that the earth shall cease to tremble until the fear which mankind have imposed upon the planetary body shall be transmuted by an action of the God flame from on high, as mankind accept the fiats of the golden age and recognize that their perfection does not lie within the domain of human intelligence, but within the domain of divine freedom, as it expresses, precious ones, through the great God flame within, which actually produces in effect a manifestation of lucidity, whereby the mind of God is able to transmit its pictures and wonderful ideas to the mind of man as inspiration, as the wondrous fount of immortality, as the elixir of life which Saint Germain offered to mankind from time to time, and as a healing power to the earth itself, which can bring about cosmic miracles of ascended master perfection as mankind accept the great pressures of the light of God that does not fail. Won't you please be seated? Ladies and gentlemen, I am stepping up the radiation of this place tonight, and I am intensifying the action of the cosmic light here so that you in your finer bodies will be able to have a greater realization of the God flame that is within. Now I ask you to bear with any pressure of uncomfortability, any action of heat which may accompany this manifestation. For those who have more to transmute in their feeling world and thinking world may find that as I step up the radiation, it will cause a feeling of heat to pass through their bodies themselves and produce some feeling of uncomfortability. Others, of course, will feel this radiation as of great coolness, a complete opposite condition to the heat which is actually the result of the substance of the sacred fire coming in contact with untransmuted substance. This same condition, precious ones, is created as you throw certain elements into the fire. For example, a pile of wet leaves thrown into a fire will produce the manifestation of smoke, and if tarry substance be included in that, you know that the sky may be actually blackened by the manifestation of the rising smoke. You must understand then, precious ones, that all that man have created in thought and feeling, which is less than the perfection of God, does intercede itself and scatter itself in the force field of mankind as tarry substance, as densification, as the blackened misqualification of light energy, tarnished indeed, but needing and requiring deliverance. For unfortunately, these electrons of substance, enclosed round about by dense thought and feeling, become in effect clogging activities for the windows of the soul. For the great God flame within requires the cosmic oxygenation, whereby the unfailing, penetrating light of God can pass through the flesh body of man and actually endow the heart flame of that one with a greater manifestation of the reality of God. But when individuals enclose themselves with wrong thought and feeling, this cloak, which may not always be visible to their eyes, becomes a dense substance cloak which actually interferes with the cosmic radiation from the great central sun and their own mighty I Am presence, precious ones, so that they are unable to feel the great freedom and release which God intends all to have, to know, and to be. I am come then tonight in order to assist you in finding your freedom. I think that the all-seeing eye that is within you would like to be able to penetrate through all of this mortal density, precious ones, that the eye of God that is within you, your wonderful spiritual eye, would be able to behold the ascended masters as they really are, and not, precious ones, as some of you imagine them to be. The same situation holds true in your own midst, precious ones. You, perhaps, have journeyed many hundreds of miles to see some individual, and when you meet them, they may not be exactly as you imagine them to be. This happened, precious ones, long ago to many people, in the days when television was not so prevalent upon this planet, when television was not in so many homes, precious ones, and individuals heard the voice of friendship coming to them over the radio. And then upon meeting the individual face to face, they found often that the voice did not coincide with their illusions or concepts of the speaker. Now, precious ones, there are manifold ideas which mankind have concerning the great ascended beings themselves, those beings that comprise the great white brotherhood, ascended, and also, precious ones, even the ideas and concepts of that which comprises the unascended branch of the great white brotherhood. Mankind have preconceived notions and ideas which have no validity in fact, simply because they are not correspondent with truth. Mankind sometimes insist on maintaining their own thoughts and feelings in wrong action, even when they are shown better. And this is human stubbornness and mortal rebellion. I say, if they insist on having their way, we do not interfere with that. We permit them to go about their own appointed rounds, self-appointed, until such a time as they are somewhat tired, precious ones, of their illusions and the attendant confusion created by them, and they have demonstrated some readiness to receive our teachings. Now then, tonight I am come, accompanied by your own beloved Paul the Venetian and John the Beloved, to intensify the love radiation in your midst in preparation for some revelation of the character of some of the blessed ascended beings who assist this great cosmic onrush toward perfection, who have assisted this activity and the great white brotherhood upon this planet for some time, and will continue to do so in the future, giving all of their vital energies to the service of God among mankind. Let us now draw very close, precious ones, to a great picturization of the ascended Master Jesus, who has become, for quite some time now, your own world teacher. The Christ, in his magnificent concept of being, has reached that state of consciousness where every man, woman, and child upon the planet is himself in action. And today, his contemplation is one of raising the consciousness of every person upon this planet to their own God estate. He often stands facing the sun itself and gazing into the very heart of Helios and Vesta. He actually holds his hands clasped together over his heart, somewhat in this manner. And he pleads with the great fire in the heart of the sun to infuse mankind with a greater awareness of the power of Alpha and Omega, of the beginning and the ending. He often invokes the angelic host from the house of David and those 12 legions over which he has control for and on behalf of mankind. I have seen him stand facing a terrific storm created by mankind's wrong thought and feeling, and seen him push back the clouds themselves and say, "Let peace come to mankind." Then, when conditions became so frightful and awe-inspiring as mankind insisted, precious ones, on having their own way, I have seen him retreat in almost the same manner as he did in the Garden of Gethsemane, and kneeling in prayer, call to God to give some assistance to individuals who were deprived of life or limb because of the intense action of the storms that have been unleashed upon mankind as elemental life has functioned to release themselves from human imposition. The Christ has stood in the very eye of the hurricanes and has called out for peace. And yet you must understand, precious ones, that no one can interfere with some of these actions created by wrong human thought and feeling, for it is necessary to give release to that substance, and therefore it is not always possible even for the masters to interfere with these conditions. But I do want you to know that the masters do rush in many cases, into awe-inspiring demonstrations of nature and use their spiritual energies to mitigate the destructive action and intent of human reason. In case, precious ones, these conditions become greater than one master can handle, I have seen a dozen hold together, pulling against tremendous pressures, and finally recognizing that it is, so to speak, the will of God and yet not his will. These individual masters have themselves relinquished the tremendous intent of their heart to stand between destructive activities released against mankind, and they have turned to calling for the souls of those individuals who were caught up in that net of self-destruction, that they might in some way be given assistance on the other side as they pass through the change called transition or death. Precious ones, the love of the Christ and the love of the infinite ones, now free from human entanglements, no longer connected to this earth, is very great, far greater than you realize, and the intensity of their action, in many cases going on 24 hours a day, even since they have won their freedom, deserves all of your heart praise and adoration poured out to God. Be thankful, precious ones, this harvest season, that those precious masters of light and wisdom have such great love for the earth and for mankind as to try to illumine mankind in every way that the great law will permit. And I assure you that there is a great density in action which prevents the masters from breaking through the human maya that surrounds mankind. Consider for a moment the various religions of the world and the tremendous faith which their followers have built up. Consider the great momentum established in those religions, and stop to realize, precious ones, how that the matrices that are there woven are themselves so powerful that individuals are unable many times in a number of lifetimes to break free of some entangling alliance with some specific religious quality, which in itself does not reveal the great truth of being. You see then that the great white brotherhood does have in this time, as in times past, a tremendous responsibility toward mankind. This responsibility includes, precious ones, the guiding of life streams between embodiments, the conducting of classes at inner levels where great cosmic truths are revealed, the conducting of life record searches from the great cosmic beings for the karmic board, whereby propitious circumstances can be arranged in creating new embodiment situations for descending life streams, so that the farthest opportunity possible that the great law will allow can be given to all, that all will be given every assistance in the name of mercy which they deserve, and oftentimes a great deal more. I am come tonight then to reveal to you that your own beloved Jesus has become more and more the world's Savior, has become less and less identified with that precious band of disciples which he once guided so faithfully, and has become more and more identified with the mass of humanity, carrying upon his own shoulders the tender lambs of human beings upon this planet, precious ones, the tender ones, the little children of mankind, and healing them by the stripes which he bears for them to this present day, wherever possible. I want you to know that your own beloved Saint Germain labors today in a way which very few of you would understand. Long ago, he manifested at the court of France and other parts of Europe. He manifested his love in personal associations with the crowned heads of Europe. He tried to reach the nobility and gentry of the earth, feeling that through them he could release some great measure of culture which would somehow permeate society in that age of feudalism and subjection to that present system of worlds. You must understand, precious ones, that society today has undergone great changes, and therefore mankind today are deserving to have a greater release of freedom. But unfortunately, the chaotic forces of the world, the forces of dissonance, the forces of shadowed substance, the forces of the brothers of the shadow, have also arrayed themselves against the brothers in white. And in the arena of action, they have their own emissaries. They have their own destructive corps that actually are a shock troop type of operation that goes forth on forays into the consciousness of mankind and seeks to rob them of their immortal birthright. You must therefore be vigilant to understand that the service of your beloved Saint Germain for and on behalf of freedom is valiancy in action. It is God in action. It is life and light and love and purity and truth above all. He is indeed the master of diplomacy, the master of the cosmic stroke, and the master of freedom. Adore him then for his service and his great love for life, for light, for liberty, and for truth. Now then, as I am speaking to you, I would like to point out to you that your beloved John the Beloved, from his retreat in Arizona, does radiate to the United States, to Canada, to Mexico, to South America, and to the Ural Mountains, to all regions of the world, the transcendent vibratory action of the great cup of Christ's love, which he partook of in his association with your own beloved Jesus. Your beloved John pours out the transcendency of his radiation tonight. He pours out the fire of his heart. He pours out awareness of the difficulties of mankind and their great struggles of mass confusion. Your beloved John seeks to bring into manifestation the power of the great cosmic cube, the white city that cometh down out of heaven, adorned as a bride to meet her husband. The husbandman is the Christ consciousness, and the church, holy church, mankind and mass, the brotherhood builded upon the sacred foundation, are themselves this bride, this wondrous city, the city beautiful, the city of God, the city of perfection, the utopia of Thomas More, the manifestation of the Novum Organum, the tremendous treatise, and those releases which the masters have given throughout the ages to mankind. Do you know, precious ones, that even in the doctrine and release that came forth as Robinson Crusoe, there is certain activity which does bring forth a realization of a higher way of life and the great resources of the human spirit? I am aware, precious ones, of certain elements of doubt in certain individuals that are present in this audience concerning certain statements I have made. Let me say to you that I have a good deal more experience in these things than your precious life streams, and one day when you stand where I stand and gaze upon the perfection of immortal substance, you will realize that there is a great cosmic law that functions. You will realize that the power of that cosmic law has in its realm undreamed of manifestations and releases which, by reason of the veils between individual advancement, have prevented individuals even in the ascended realm from seeing all that is to be seen. Yet they who are there, through application to the Godhead, are able to probe the great depths and reaches of the infinite realms of God. You too, if you will hold to the faith in Almighty God within yourselves, will be able to bring forth a greater power and portent of righteousness. You will be able to strip yourselves of both doubt and fear. You will be able to understand that there is a great need in yourselves for purification, not only of the outer part of your vessel, but also of the inward realm of the heart, where the heart stands, revealing the sacred fire. For the sacred fire comes into manifestation within man as it touches upon the electrodes within man's being. It flashes forth from the invisible realm, and it becomes visible, tangible reality to the individual who thus enters into the kingdom of God as the great God flame itself seeks to reveal the great truths of being, the only reality of life to man in the Holy of Holies that is within him, the precincts of God. These precincts are the realms of heaven, and every man has within himself this electrode, this precious heart altar, where God is born anew each moment as the thundering beats of the life of God come from undreamt of cosmic heights and descend below. Through that great lustrous stream of shining immortal consciousness, from the all-seeing eye of God, from the all-being body and substance of the tangible radiation of God, the light of the Christ universal, the light that pours out and is substance from the heart of hearts, and is substance from the mind of minds, is communion from the great communicant fount of eternity, held now, as always, upon our beloved Sirius, the great central sun, misnamed the dog star, but in reality the God star. You must understand this truth. You must understand the astronomical power that breathes through space, through the pores of God, the fire of his heart, and saturates the universe with his omnipresence. He has come nigh thee this night, in the tents and tabernacles of thy being, yea, within the folds of thy skin. The eye of God seest all. The eye of God searcheth the heart. The eye of God searcheth the imagination of man's mind. God, with tender fingers of living fire this night, shall try thy works of what sort they be. God shall touch thy brain this night. God shall touch thy intent and thy thoughts. For the Lord shall probe thee and see whither thou goest. The Lord shall see whither thou dreamest. The Lord shall see what thy imagination is. And the Lord shall determine what thy intent is. And as thou intendest to do, so I pray thee this night, make thee a new thought, if thy thoughts be impure. Make thee a new thought, if thy thoughts be not ready. Make thee a new thought, if thy thoughts are not worthy of God. For the Lord shall surely try thee one and all this night, and none among thee shall escape. And the Lord shall come suddenly to mankind this night, and by his love he shall come as the death angel passed over the house of Israel. And wheresoever the power of the blood of his covenant, the great power of reality, in the bond of the I am presence is not, the Lord shall speak to them as with drawn sword, and he shall speak to the earth this night, and many shall understand and shall rejoice. Some shall not understand, but they shall be quickened, and many shall come to a realization that the flesh which they have about them is but grass, that withereth, that passeth away as in the icy blast. With the coming of winter and the dying solstice, mankind understand that a new era is born. In the depth of winter, spring is born. For the mind of God springeth forth with new hope for universal covenants with mankind. And the Lord himself shall not always strive with flesh, for he shall remember that the days of man are numbered, and the Lord has counted the hair of all that are here in this place, and the Lord has numbered the hair of all. And behold, the Lord speaketh unto all, saying, Hear ye my word. The time is come when as thy hairs are numbered, so it shall come to pass that the law has required of thee that thou understand my tomes, that thou understand the tenets of my hidden laws, that thou understand that it is within thy right to probe my laws, and my laws within thyself, that it is within thy right to be perceivers of the eye and mind of God. For in singleness of vision men come to purity of heart, and by double vision men attain instability in all their ways. Come thou then to this city foursquare, the city of righteousness where God is born. Come to the feet of El Moria, the Choan of the first ray. Come to the feet of Saint Germain. Come to the cosmic council tables. Come to where the brethren in white sit together. Come where they commune together. Come where the power of God is. Come, 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 where the water of life is dispensed. Come, 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 where I am the living flame within. Come, 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 the Spirit and the bride say come, and let all who together love us, let all who together live in us, let all who desire and aspire to see and be the eye of God, the mind of God, say, come. 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 The Spirit and the bride say, come. Come, let us reason together, saith the Lord. Come, let us reason together. Come, let us reason. In the wisdom of God, there is contained all that the mind and heart of man longs for, the soul-satisfying search of the ages, that begun with the manifestation of thy flame, that begun with the manifestation of God's name, that begun with the light and power from on high, is nigh thee even at the door. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me. Behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me. Behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me. I am the eye of God. I am the eye of God. I am. I am. I am. I am. Even so, come, cosmic lords, ladies and gentlemen, kindred hearts of the sacred fire, I, Cyclopea, seal you in the circle of God's desire. I thank you, and I bid you good night. Fairest ones of my heart, I invoke in our Father's name the Son of thy soul. May the golden light of the love of God flood thy being this night with compassion, that trembling in the cup of life is the victory of the eternal presence, now and forever made manifest in thy being. O reveal, thou Spirit of truth, all that which needs to be revealed, and bring it to the light of day, that the day star from on high may visit the souls of men and teach them our unity. Let them see the great wheel of life, the wheel of the infinite law that we know and love, and let them, in coming into consonance with the harmony of its turning, recognize that I am the resurrection and the life that renews with the turning of the cycle the great boon of opportunity, calling to the souls of men as of yore, come thou, follow me in the regeneration, follow me in the rebirth of thy consciousness under the banner of our Father's love. Ye say, that ye love me. Ye say that ye love God. Then I say, let it be demonstrated here and now by a forthright action of adoration's flame poured out upon the altar of thy being, that will seize and bind that which is not of God within thee, that it may be brought underneath the feet of divine love, that love which shall bruise the serpent's head and shall bring freedom to the oppressed. Freedom's flame manifest tonight. Freedom's flame manifests in thy soul. Freedom's flame manifests in thy mind. Freedom's flame manifests in thy heart, and it is one with the heart of God. For there is a great gathering together of mankind that is beginning now, a great amortization of mankind under our Father's light. We call, and the souls of men respond with the magnetism of the cosmic pull, the drawing of light unto God, the drawing of light unto His purposes, the drawing of light into manifestation, that which is done in secret shall be revealed, and that men shall clearly perceive the pathway which they ought to trod, recognizing that freedom under God is not to manifest pain, decay, disintegration, unhappiness, or discord, but freedom is the great net of divine love. When I spake unto my disciples, and I said unto them, cast thy net upon the right side of the boat. When I spake unto them and said, come ye and follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Think ye that it was only for the age in which they lived? I tell you, nay, for those who follow me in the regeneration pursue an ageless cause, one that spans the centuries with the knowing of reality, and that gives victory and overcoming power to the souls of men, that removes every trace of fear from the lineaments of their being, and points out to them the way of God. The hand of God is not stayed. The hand of God is steady in truth and reality, but it is not stayed to move forward and perceive how that the veil may be drawn aside for mankind. God seeks the way of peace for those that have no peace. God seeks the way of illumination for those that walk in darkness. God seeks to strengthen those that are weak. God seeks to raise up from the consciousness of death and despair those who yearn to know the meaning of hope. And ours is an all-encompassing hope, a great cosmic circle of light that passes forth from the mind of God, from the being of God, and illumines the mountain tops as with the touch of golden sunlight, as though the master artist had painted with his master strokes the great outpicturing wonder of perfection and purity. Know ye not that I am the Lord thy God, in manifestation, even the Christ consciousness in ye all. I am the law fulfilled. I am the reality of thy being. I am the strength of thy arm and the fiber of thy beating heart, that shall establish in thee a valiant path that parts the waters of eternity and gives control and direction to all immortal substance, and trods upon mortality as I walked upon the waters and as I walk upon dry land. For the light that in me is in thee as well, and the light that is in thee must be acknowledged, and the light that is in thee must be nourished, and the light that is in thee must be strengthened by thy attention and by thy realization of all that I am, and all that ye are, and all that mankind shall be, not that which they have been, which is discord and corrupt, not that which they have been that has robbed them of immortality and of their birthright, but that which they shall be, that which God wills. And as I contemplate this night the renewed tenderness of my heart's love for mankind, I gaze upon the youth of the world in their states of fear and trepidation, their emptiness of being, the state of their concept, which is banal and destructive. For the energies of their world are not chaliced before God. The energies of their world are channeled into destructive activities in so many cases, and the pangs of their heart are very great in the eyes of God. Therefore I am come this night to make a soul appeal, this harvest season, as the Lord of Sabaoth, as the Lord of the harvest. I am come, and my angels are with me, and we are determined as one voice, the voice of many waters, to penetrate the harshness and the density of mortal thought and feeling by our light. O ye angels of the resurrection temple, I speak to you this night in God's name. I say, let the peace of men's hearts, the peace that has permitted them to remain in darkness, be shattered by our light, and let them know no peace until they know the peace of reality. Let us shatter then tonight the false peace practiced by deceitful ways by mankind to cloak themselves in the garb of illusion, and let us now release the youth of the world from confusion. I am come that the angels of my band may take command and control of hearts and minds. As I walked upon the waters of old, so now I trod upon the emotional concepts of the youth of the world, and I say, around this globe, from east to west, as the lightning cometh out of the east and goeth unto the west, so let my word go forth, sharper than a two-edged sword, and let it cut asunder and pierce to the dividing of soul and spirit, that they may feel and know that the Lord of Sabaoth has spoken, that the Lord of Sabaoth has declared it, that the Lord of Sabaoth has released the thrust of his seed and his sword to see to it that there is a quickening of conscience in mankind that shall call them to the precept of obedience, to the law of love and purification, that they understand the purposes of our coming, that they be gradually awakened as they are able to bear it, and come to the light of understanding, that they may share that understanding with one another and replace their discordant manifestations, their dissonant ideas, with the realities of universal omnipresence. I am come this night to fulfill my word. I am come this night to hold in my hand a sword. I am come this night to see that the terror that has wasted at noonday and the pestilence that has struck down in the night shall be mended and abated wherever possible by the great law of infinite love. You have called for this, and others upon this planet, even the mothers of many of these poor misguided youth, have called for their salvation in the realm of greater understanding, and they have responded to the call of mankind's discord and decay, and have turned a deaf ear to the pleas of righteousness and purity and love and truth. But I am come, I say, to go after the youth. I am come as the good shepherd to seek those lambs, those tender ones, who deem themselves so wise and fruitful, when in reality they are so youthful and so fruitless in the dimensions of spiritual attainment as to be almost devoid of life and the understanding of our reality. Our Father, I pray for them and for all those that are without our light, for all those who are in the banal darkness of atheism and agnosticism, for all those whom Ilarion has cherished, and I send a beam tonight from my heart to Crete, to your beloved Ilarion, and to Pallas Athena, that beloved mother of truth, and I say, let our light be spread abroad in the land and over the earth, and let the great clarion call of our coming, our annunciation, and our denunciation be heard in the land. Let the fierceness of the wrath of God trembling in the cup of life come forth, and let the land shake where necessary, and feel the mighty power of our victory that quickens and awakens mankind to a realization of the need for light, for the dawn, for the strength, for the courage, and for the daring to do in our name that which the law requires, and to alter the courses bent on self-destruction and annihilation, the courses of mankind that themselves are shattering, for they are illusory, they are deceptive, they are destructive, they are without purity, and they have been maintained to the point where they are about to fall apart of their own weight. And there is no more any reason for their being, and I say, let them be shattered wherever possible, but let mercy prevail, that the soul of men be saved from the destructive tendencies and the unrighteous concepts and the impure thoughts. Let men tonight feel the thrust of our purity, and I call to thee, O beloved goddess of purity, to radiate the mighty pink stream of thy shell-pink radiance, of thy beautiful lustrous mother of pearl radiance into this audience. Let them feel our purity, the purity of the mind of God, the purity that upholds the law, the purity that is perfection, God-willed, the purity that is the mind that is stilled, the purity that is the fullness of holy awe, the purity of life that subscribes the law, the purity of victory that mends the flaw. Oh, be filled then this night with pure delight in that Holy Mother bright. Her luminosity, I declare to you, her luminosity, I say, shall penetrate through, and you shall feel that purity comes into view and makes you all aware that God in all is just and fair, that His love the angels trumpet on the air, an answer to a maiden's prayer, an answer to a youth so fair, and all shall know and all shall bear the onus burden of the law, and see that God will answer call, and make of mankind one and all a great and beauteous kingdom fair, where love shall triumph now and ere, that you shall see and be as I am, and know the power of that name to triumph over worldly fame, and bask within the light and flame of truth, the proof of life and light, the strength and armor for the right. I am the law. I am God's love. I came descending from above. I now am victor in God's name. I live to serve His mighty flame. I call you now, each one and all, to heed and answer heaven's call. For only as you see the right can you live and be the might that is the power to alter life and make it victor over strife. Precious one, how can men succeed in anything they put their heart and mind to, except the Lord be in it? And if the Lord be in it, how can they fail in anything they put their heart and mind to? I am come. I shall take my leave of you. You say you regret that I leave. I say unto you, where I am, there shall ye be also. In truth, the mansions of my Father's house are at the door. The light from those distant shores is penetrating through. And though ye see it not all, though ye see it a little, it shall become brighter and more luminous still, and it shall strengthen in you God's holy will. For this I come, for this I go. This is my service, that ye may know that I love you now as in days of yore, and always will forevermore. I am the Christ, now hid in God, the power and truth of heaven's rod. My soul is one with Him above. I keep you by the law of love. And as you go and nourish soul, my faith will help you to the goal. My faith I give unto you. My light I release unto you. God's grace pours through you. You have come into union. Will ye retain it? Will ye hold it? Will you defy all that would break it? Then go and see what the Lord will do. Go and see what each one of you shall yet be. Go find your freedom. It is nigh. Your freedom is at the door. I am the Lord thy God, knocketh. Let those who hear awaken. Let them quicken their perception. Let them strengthen their mind. Let them determine that the powers of agitation shall, if necessary, agitate them to divine action. For perfect love casteth out all fear, and in the perfectness of love you will come near unto God in you, and unto God in me, and by our bond we shall be free. You and I, in God's own name, will find our victory through his flame. I thank you, and I bid you adieu. O holy brother Saint Germain, may I pledge to thee my flame. We stand together side by side. Our pact in God cannot be denied. I am in thee, and thou in me, and by thy flame we all go free. Precious ones, those who have doubted the great harmony of Saint Germain and myself may know that I reaffirm it again. Again I bid you adieu.